Finals, Reynor versus Clem. People love this matchup for good reason. They usually have some very good games. And now we're going to see what the new maps look like with some of the highest level StarCraft that is possible. People out there haven't watched StarCraft in a while and are like, but there's no Koreans. Or the people who are still holding on to the idea that Koreans best and nothing else. What are you doing here? What are you watching this? To those types of people, I say, yeah, learn up, get learned. These two guys are some of the best in the world. As far as that top 12, shall we say. Yeah, it's still mostly Koreans, but there's at least 4, if not 5, sometimes 6 non-Koreans that are in that top 12. I'm talking about, for instance, like I am TvZ is one of the examples there, right? So this is definitely some high class StarCraft 2. And on what seems to be the most well-accepted map, first of all, 2,000 atmospheres. Bottom left for Team Clash, it is Reynor. Top right for Team Liquid, he is Clem from Clan Blem. Kind of important to mention the clan because then I can zoom in on the polar bear. I've regretted being drunk way more times than being high. Oh, I agree with that. I mean, that is like a... If you drink at all, that is like a universal thing amongst people who drink. Is never again. Alright, just this one more time. Normal openers here. We're on a mid-sized map, but this map is, you know, kind of interesting terrain-wise for this specific matchup. So first of all, Zergs don't appear that often in this open cup. So Reynor appearing, not only providing technically the world's best right now, I guess, with TvZ supposedly determining that, and that's great, but also just repping Zerg. Europe has become a Zerg drought, especially for these open cups, where occasionally Lambo was signing up, but I don't even think he's signed up for the last couple of weeks. And then Laser, like, almost was one that didn't really ever sign up. And then even sort of, I think, was signing up. He really hasn't in a long time. So I don't know what it is, but the Zergs don't want to play in these open cups anymore. So it's really great to see Reynor here. And I think TvZ is just the agreed upon best matchup. Very few people think it's the worst, that's for sure. But it's a matchup that's, you know, generally the big map's supposed to favor the Zerg, chokes are supposed to favor the Terran. Kind of the two big, vague ideas of this matchup. And we are considering all of this with the idea that the Zerg's gonna go into like a Ling-Baneling composition, not roaches, not dark. So with that in mind, it's a mid-sized map. Your pushes as the Terran player, so if you take a triangle base, which I do believe Clem will do, your push goes maybe like through this point up here, slowly through the Xel'Naga, and then you're already at your opponent's third. It seems pretty nice. That does mean, however, and this is especially important when we're talking about Reynor, that your third has at least 3 ways to get in. So Ling run by, Ling run by, Ling run by, and into the natural as well. Which is, you know, worth considering and something that Terran players are going to have to be wary of. And then as far as the 4th base being attacked, the way you get there is through these rocks if you break them down. If you don't break them down, then it is kind of a windy map. So that's some of the basics of the map that we've seen across the other matchups. I wonder how they will be using it specifically. I mentioned this earlier too, and this is now a non-mirror matchup, so it's really important to mention, is that generally, in the past, Terrans, upon learning about the map, playing it more than once, will benefit the most from new maps. They'll have tank positions that the Zerg player doesn't expect, doesn't know how to quite set up the surround to take care of it. They'll have, you know, abusive tank positions that even have to be patched in, you know, previous years. Their attack paths are just unknown, so the Zerg doesn't know where to send their Lings to try and cut off reinforcements. The drop paths are still being figured out, so the Overlords aren't in the right position. You know, all that type of stuff, right? So it initially kind of favors the Terran. And then the Zergs figure it out, the Protoss figure it out, and things mostly balance. I mention it because I do think this will help Clem. I do think that Clem has a stronger chance to win against Reynor on brand new maps. And that's this week. Clever. But it also had a Raven on the way, so no reason to use too much micro. And Raven is specifically to help clear up this creep spread. It is so easily lost, though. And after a certain amount of time against really good Zerg players... Ooh, this is... Ooh, okay. Ooh, alright. This is nice. Reynor thinking 3 queens is going to be enough with the Lings, realizing, okay, maybe I need to bring the rest of the queens over. Auto turret does add quite a bit of damage. Anyways, after a certain time against really good Zerg players, the Terran's just like, well, it doesn't even matter. Like, what am I even doing with my life? Why am I killing all these creep tumors? Just replacing it. But I think Clem's not just killing creep tumors, he's actually doing a decent amount of damage. Reynor with some clever micro returns, I don't know what you want to call it, just positioning his evolution chamber to block the Hellions, realizing that's where they were headed. These guys are pretty flippin' good. And Clem is in all this map control and all this damage whilst getting his 3rd CC, 1-1 combat shields. Don't try this at home, kids. You will absolutely fail. You will either not micro your Hellions or not macro whatsoever. This has been constant pressure. I mean, as far as like doing like big things, you know, killing 20 drones, killing 30 Ling, like, no, that's not what's happening. But that's fine. He is killing so many creep tumors. He's forcing the queens to react. He's even killing 1 or 2 queens, delaying bases, opening up pathways later on, because he still has Hellions. He still has a good number of Hellions. And now he also has 2 medevacs. And he still has a Raven, too. That could go harass. That could go continue clearing up creep spread, like whatever it wants to do. Clem actually went home and repaired it, realizing it might be going down. He's gonna clear up the left side creep. No banelings quite yet for Reynor. He doesn't need banelings right now. He does have baneling speed on the way, which is far more important. And is responding to everything in due time. Like, he is responding to everything Clem is throwing at him. And the fact that Reynor's down 20 supply is actually not that bad. A lot of Zerg players do find themselves at this type of supply and still manage to do all right. The baneling count is now a concern. Now that the main push is here, now it's a concern. Only 9 banelings finishing up. So Difficult Cloak's only halfway done. And of course, those Hellions turn into Hellbats, so this is quite scary. They're really spread out, though. There we go, spreading out a little bit more. Marine count is healthy enough. Nah, not healthy enough, never mind. Nope, he is gonna be cleaned up. Trades out a little bit, forced to pick up the rest of the Marines. Widowmine's gonna get its last shot. He's also been trying to micro this drop off to the left, which I'm sure is happening during that engagement. Doesn't find too much success. Still has 1 drop, being hella annoying. Looks like Clem missed a couple of creep tumors. That's, yeah, that's always annoying. 1 scan cleans them up and anything else. And Clem's still microing that drop. 2 spore crawlers, 3 spore crawlers in the main. Reynor was very serious about not letting this through. And it will help kill it. But what about on the front lines? Raven comes forward, actually, and the auto turrets would tank a lot of banelings, and with their insanely high threat, they actually have a chance to force Reynor to miss micro this engagement. So I really like that. I don't know if they did or not. But they're gone. Raven goes back home. Widowmine's gonna pop off against the Queens. The Queens really the most solid on defense here. The Banelings get focus fired because of course they do. And Clem is going to win this game. Oh, the Banelings, oh my god! A couple of last minute Banelings are letting Reynor survive, but Reynor's playing an extremely greedy game. He's at less than half the army supply, equal upgrades for some time, and he's trying to get to a hive. A hive, y'all, a hive. Reynor is not going to be able to afford anything from that for quite some time, but it does look like he's managed to survive. Those last couple of Banelings forming were huge. If they don't form, they get focus fired. If they get focus fired, oh, Widowmine gets a good shot as well. Then these Banelings that are now here would also have been focus fired. Like, they just, it snowballs from there, right? It's probably still going to snowball. The Banelings forced to try and take care of 2 places at once. So far, okay, but going to get more and more difficult as Clem has such a huge supply lead. He can be at many places and still have much more to come afterwards. Left, right, and the center eventually, with plenty of Widowmines. 4th base being set up as a planetary. Reynor is only now adding on some technology. Oh, Raven's finally gonna go down. Hey. Anti-air missiles, lings, and banelings is always kind of funny. And that is a very large Terran force. Clem has just consolidated everything. Widowmine numbers are pretty insane right now, coming in from multiple directions. The splits are way too good. Reynor has really run out of creep at this point. Left side Marines would be happy to soak up a couple of Banelings, because then the right side is totally free to do whatever it wants. The Banelings actually rushing in are not going to get popped up by the Widowmine. But are there enough Banelings left over after all is said and done? Reynor is trying to break this, but so far not so good. The concave, the split's just a little too good for Clem, as he once again rushes back off the creep. Focus fires down the Banelings, all but one, which is chasing after him right now. There he goes, the focus fire. I don't even know how he did that, because it was all underneath Medivacs. And then he can take care of the Lings, no problem. Reynor is fighting a losing battle. He's trying so hard, but he actually extends Swarm Host. I don't think that's what he meant to make. Oh my god. He built a Hydralisk den and a Lurker den and built 10 Swarm Hosts. I gotta say, I don't think that's gonna work. Chi-chi. Clem. He's very fast. That's what I'll say about that. Jesus. I figured Reynor changed his hotkeys, and I was right. I have hotkeys for Hydras as SH. What are Hydras usually? Are they H? Clem them too fast. Clem them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the overmind.
Thank you, Soccer Boy Canada. Trying to defy the stereotypes. Being from Canada and calling it soccer. Being from Canada and not being only a fan of ice hockey. How dare you? You know, if I had to choose between soccer and ice hockey to watch, I wouldn't want to watch either. Because I guess I'm a hater on both. In the top right of Oxide, we have Reynor, down 1. In the bottom left, it is Clem. Reynor was pretty greedy. When I saw that hive in the production tab, I was like, well, I suppose, you know, I guess. I was under the assumption that he could hold on a little while longer. But I don't even like... You have to wait a long time because he didn't even have hydras. So first he had to make the hydras, then the lurkers, and then, you know, wait for the actual hive upgrade to kick in. And that's presumably what he was going to do with the hive. That's a very long time. That is at least 3 minutes, right? So I don't see him ever like handling it that well. The thing is that it's a really big payoff when it does happen. When Clem's trying to batter down the walls and then doesn't, and suddenly lurkers fly out of the walls. Like, yeah, it would have paid off. Clem would not have been getting into tanks. He wouldn't have been getting into that many marauders, maybe yet still. I mean, he should have been adding on marauders with 4 bases. He should have had an extra 3 tech labs, but yeah, no tanks. He was still building those Widow mines. Would probably have to totally pivot the way he was engaging if lurkers suddenly appeared. But high risk, high reward, right? And as Clem was non-stop action, constantly pushing into Reynor, there's really no way for Reynor to get to that point. Maybe he continues surviving, like his arm is dangling off, but he's alive until he gets to lurkers. But even when he does have those situations where he gets to lurkers, and we're like, okay, well, lurkers, siege units, maybe he can make the comeback, you know, hold up on 4 bases, let's see what happens. I've said that a lot, and then not been too surprised when he actually can't make it work. I don't know. To me, Ling Banling Muto will always be the GOAT. Has so much, you know, the highest skill cap, you know. But Reynor wants to try and make these lurkers work.
Twitch Prime Sabbath received.
They definitely don't work in build swarm hosts, that's for sure. 3cc build from Clem. So he's going to get nice and supercharged for a lot of pushing. Last game he went for, what was that, 8 Hellions and a Raven. That probably was a shock to Reynor, who had to adapt on the fly and be like, oh, okay, that's what you're opening up with, got it. It's not like adapting to a Hellbat push or adapting to mech or something, right? But it is still something you have to adapt to compared to someone who opens up 6 Hellions and a Liberator. Thank you, Maid the Quaker. The Quaker Maid. Okay, thank you for that Prime sub. Poor Reaper. A 2-base lair. All right. Nope. Just kidding.
Go, go, go.
Wow. But why? I don't actually think that was quite worth it. We'll watch. We'll see. We'll watch. We're watching. So Clem is not only going into a 3cc build, he also went into a kind of 2-1-1 setup. He didn't put the factor in the reactor. So he's missing a lot of early game defense, but that's fine. That would have been fine against a 2-base Muta, and it would have been fine against what Reynor's actually doing, which is still a fast lair, but on 3 bases. And now getting a Roach Warren. Okay. I still feel like what Clem is doing is fine against that. I don't... So Clem doesn't really seem to be adapting very much to the fast lair because, as I was saying, against a 2-base Muta, the thing he's doing right now is good. He's going to have a lot of Marines. They're going to be healed. That's fine. He'll probably waste minerals on missile turrets. Because, you know, his lack of Hellions means he also has a lack of follow-up scouting. Which is not something that Reynor knew about, by the way. Like, it's very possible that there was Hellions about to go on top of that 3rd base and be like, wait a second, hold on here. But that actually isn't happening. So it's kind of a funny game that, like, they both are in the dark. And supposedly, Clem is supposed to be confused. But Clem isn't... He is confused, but it doesn't really matter. Right now. I don't know how else to put it. 2 drops against someone who is potentially getting mutas is a bit dangerous. So, is he predicting that to be a fake? Does he think that it is roaches? Because it is roaches. But faster? Like, no, if it was a Nightstorm, he definitely wouldn't be picking up his Medivacs. I don't know, but he's now getting the scout, right? There's no mutas. Still no mutas. Most importantly, still no mutas. And he's gonna clear up some creep and maybe eventually get into the main or natural. He's eventually gonna see some roaches. Reynor's just being very particular about not showing roaches. The longer he can keep Clem building like Widow Mines, for instance, which he's not doing, he's building tanks, then the more chances he has for a 1-1 roach attack to work. But Clem's building tanks. I feel like there's supposed to be more bamboozling going on, but then it's like Clem isn't even considering the bamboozling, so the bamboozling isn't working. I don't know. The 1-1 roach attack is definitely happening though. And Clem, I think, is still going to be surprised by that. He's got no banshees to help. His tanks might not be properly protected. This one Marine is gonna try to be a hero. It doesn't see anything important. I mean, it sees like gases. No scan. You scan the natural would be a big help. This Marine, a hero. Come on, unhero, unhero. Nope, there's no roaches there. Spots the run by though, which is more so what it was specifically scouting for. Whatever little ling gets in there. Reynor is still building up his roach count. It's not actually the best 1-1 timing, though, I gotta say, right? 1-1's done. He's even a little bit supply blocked. I actually really needs that tank, and that's why Ren's gonna go after it. Oh no! He super needs that tank. Ah! I mean, in general, losing a tank's bad. The scan still hasn't seen the roaches. Ah, there it is. Yeah, okay, there you go. I've been like this entire time wondering if Clem is actually just like 1,000 IQ and someone already knows, but yeah, as soon as he saw the roaches, he's like, oh shit, abort. And he is aborting, but the roaches, oh my goodness, so many roaches have already appeared. Holy shit, did he kill anything? 15 SCDs. Oh my goodness, and he just takes the engagement on this side of the map. Oh, both sides going terribly for Clem. All right, the bamboozle was 100% successful. 100% successful. Clem is pretty screwed. I mean, he has 4 CC potentially. I actually don't think it's gonna finish. But his army supply is in the dumps. It's not a good army either. Like with 50 army supply and there's 4 tanks, sure, that could hold. But he is gonna be able to jump on top of these roaches. All right, that is very nice for him. These rocks still not broken down. Maybe jump on top of a few more. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. CC still not gonna finish. 1 tank sieges up, but it could be burst down by the Ravagers. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. He's got. Dude, he missed it. He had a medevac instead. A second tank comes forward. Is gonna help out so much, and the tank still isn't dead. Finally, it falls. Can Clem actually do this? Dude. Oh my god, Clem is going to hold. Did his 4th CC finish? What the fuck? How did that finish? The tank finally falls, but the Marine count's still pretty solid. Gonna chase after these queens, whatever he can grab. Target fire the Ravagers if he can. 3rd CC is back to mining with whatever mules he can drop down. Clem is so close to holding against this. What tank is sieged up? I think he has held. Oh my god. This game though. Some Liberators coming up to actually handle the Lings. Only 2 Ravagers are left, so they won't one-shot the Liberator, and they missed again. Wow, Reynor making some really funny mistakes in these finals. Now there's 3 Ravagers, so 1 Liberator will die, but the other one will still live. And now it won't target the tank. You know, only 3 Ravagers. It's actually not a ton. 1 tank will fall. Another tank will fall, maybe, but the Marines starting to shred through the roaches. Liberators siege up, not gonna get taken out either. Now the queens are dead. It is only down to the corrosive bows to take out these air units. 3rd CC is once again being denied, but Reynor, I mean, he only just got to a 4th hatchery. You know, 71 workers, yes, but only recently, and they still have to be kind of, you know, yeah, there we go, spread out. And after this is done, after Reynor does pull back entirely, Clem is going to go into drop mode. Or harassment mode, whatever. The Liberator's coming across the map. Or a start. The 4th command center that he saved actually turned into an orbital, perhaps just being greedy because he thinks he can, or thought his 3rd might die, I'm not sure, but that is 4 mules then. 2-2 is about the same. There's a big chance that either one of them would have forgotten or misclicked or something like that, but both of them on their way to 2-2. That is going to make the Bio army better than the Roach Ravager army. Roach Ravager just doesn't actually scale into the late game that well. It needs some support, you know, it needs to go into some lurkers, which is what Reynor is headed towards. Maybe some fungals, of course, is always nice if you can get that beautiful combination. But the Bio army should just be straight up better, especially if you're going to be able to afford a 2nd factory and get a lot of tanks. Which Clem's not really bothering to do. He just built his barracks, swapped on the tech labs. So Ling run buys are going to make this problematic if and when Reynor builds Lings again. Might not. Maybe taking some inspiration from Dark, the Roach God himself. The sun was in the Ravager's eyes. Yeah, not a fight Clem actually wants to take. If he had more Marauders, I think he takes this. And, oh, well, his tanks of siege, he absolutely takes this. Reynor's the one who has to be careful about that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. Okay, now with all the Bio army collected together, he just jumps. He's like, yeah, fuck you. My army's better. Get out of here. Looks like the Liberators have been, yeah, pushed back. I actually really like this as a use for a Liberator. You know run-bys are going to happen. They usually do. Reynor still hasn't made any more Lings, though, so no run-bys anytime soon. And Clem is doing one direct push to the face, catching Reynor before he's at any higher technology, so as long as he just takes, like, okay engagements, his tanks are siege, his bow doesn't overextend. Oh, Blinding Cloud's coming through here. My bad, I missed that higher technology. I was looking at the Lurker Den. Viper's coming in pretty clean. Take out a lot of the tanks, 3 of them fighting their way now just down to 2. And that Bio army getting really thinned out. Now is the time to retreat. Clem retreats back to his reinforcements. Reynor, though, oh, he does not. Actually is overextended. He's gonna lose all these Ravagers. Very, very expensive. Oh, he's trying to escape now. Clem just, like, pushed his army into the faces of the Ravagers so they couldn't escape. Pretty good game. Pretty good game. Clem really wants to deny this 5th base. He's gonna grab the queens. Queen numbers have been hurt in the past, but since roaches aren't too larva intensive, it's not been a big deal. Medivacs microed away from the parasitic bomb. That parasitic bomb means less blinding clouds. Not that there's that many tanks anymore, just 2. The second one comes forward. Hydras have joined the fray. They're adding in that nice DPS, but they also still need to be properly protected, and that's becoming an issue. There's very few roaches. A couple of lurkers finish up, maybe in the nick of time. Clem, quite low on the bio count, is going to be forced to respect that. And by the way, Reynor might not... Ooh, he actually might not get this 5th base. 5th base does die. Reynor's gonna have to replace it, and it's still kind of expensive for him. What he has already invested into, is he has invested into 3-3 and the Lurker range upgrade. Again, being a bit greedy, but the risk has kind of paid off. Good parasitic bomb, good abducts. Clem a little late to the micro there. There are these reinforcements, and Clem also has a 5th base, and it's mining. 3-3 is about to finish for the Roach Hydra. Clem, 20 seconds away from his +3 attack, but it's the Lurkers. It's Lurkers, they're such a big deal. Oh my goodness. Oh, the bio got so low. Oh, okay, some of it survives, but that ended up not being the attack Clem was hoping for. He was kind of waffling. He was like, maybe I can jump on top of those Lurkers, maybe I can't. And at the end of the day, he could not. That ended up being a big mistake. I realized how tempting it was. Like, if this wasn't here, right? If these rocks weren't here and he kind of goes like this, oh, those Lurkers are dead. No big deal. But because he kind of had to go through here and the DPS of the army on top, like, Clem is gonna lose all that momentum. He wanted to keep that momentum. That's why he kept doing that. And he was very close to being able to keep that momentum. But now it's gone. Clem 5th base is turning into a planetary. I'm just gonna scout that. No, it can't really be too successful with the run-bys. Clem has double factory producing tanks, and now is also producing some ghosts. We take some solace in the fact that he did kill this 5th base, but it's already back up and running. 6th base is on the way now for Reynor as well. It's on 94 workers. Now that's 94 workers that I actually doubt is working 100%, because Reynor's first 3 bases are almost mined out, but Eventually, they'll have 2 new bases to take. Blinding Cloud on top of 2 tanks is very, very nice. Clem not able to replenish the losses from earlier quite yet. Reynor is hitting at a perfect time with just an undeniably good army. That is so many lurkers. The snipes are coming in, first on the Viper, then on the lurker, but there's still not enough. Liberator is going to help quite a bit here, but eventually go down. Third CC is going to get taken out. Big concave of the bio is going to try and take down what was like 7 or 8 lurkers, and they will be able to do so. Maybe just barely, or maybe not. 2 lurkers still alive, 3 lurkers still alive. Jesus, it's barely not happening. He barely doesn't clean up the lurkers, and Reynor was killing his third during that entire time. So many lurkers. So powerful. So much wow. By the way, that attack was without the Hydra range, which I just like, I mean, they weren't the big part of that attack. I just find it funny. Lurkers are entirely upgraded. Hydras are not. Clem absolutely needs his planetary once to make a comeback. Snipes going down on the Hydras. I mean, hey, that's costly. Reynor did lose the lurkers, which are hard to replace, but now that he's got 2 new bases mining, his 96 workers is giving him a very steady income. And unless Clem can start like hardcore denying these lurkers, Reynor will eventually overtake him. Clem doesn't want to give up, but there's nothing else going for him. Lots of good lurkers here. Reynor maybe a little over eager to end the game. Army supplies are actually even. Ooh, good pick on that ghost. And a couple of snipes cleans that up. If Clem had enough units to do a couple of drops over to the left, I'd be feeling so much better for him in this position. And, you know, this is being denied and this is being harassed. I feel so much better for him, but Clem is going to run out of cash eventually. I guess he'll lift his main eventually, but... can he do it? Can he do it? A lot of ghosts. Clem might not have any bio. He's got ghosts. He's got submarines and products. Not many though. Ooh, Reynor's setting up for the collapse. A bunch of Lings is, funnily enough, Clem's weakness. Something to really take those out. Tank's gonna refocus fire on top of the Hydra Lurker, but then what about the amount of Lings that are coming forward here? Getting this around on the Lings, on the bio, and the Ghosts. The Lings, so useful at this point of the game. So useful. This might once again be an overstep by Reynor. Snipes are going down, Planetary's barely living, Concave's barely good enough on top of the Lurkers. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Reynor. He's over 3,000 minerals per minute. That's what that is, right? And that's a no-go. Clem actually has an extra command center. We'll eventually want to turn that into a planetary, but if he can get away with it, he would love for this to just be his 3rd orbital, and for this to be his planetary, but hey, there's already an army there. A couple of Liberators finally getting that harassment in, but easy Spore Crawler repositioning. Clem, I mean, would love to take advantage of maybe a Reynor who's not paying attention, but Reynor is paying attention. Once again, Lings being the big problem. The Ghosts just can't deal with that many. Back into the planetary they go. Clem just doesn't want to give up this game, man. Hey. You're dead. Can't believe that Clem is still only 30 army supply down. There's a 30 supply difference in the workers. I mean, it was bigger. Reynor had 90 and is now down to 82. I don't even know. I want to admire Clem's tenacity. But it's probably feeling like a bit of stubbornness to Reynor at this point. And he's like, seriously, dude? Now Clem knows about that base. Gonna reposition his attack towards it. He's down 30 army supply, and it's actually not even that great. I mean it's kind of good. 8 ghosts, but not a whole lot of splash. How do you deal with the lings? Just enough bio to help out. See SCVs go down every which way, actually. Lurker harassment in every single base. Reynor, he's done it. He has finally won this game. Just to even the score 1-1. It's a 21-minute game. Very hard fought. Very hard. Need more nukes? Yeah, that's what Clem's problem was. Ugh, more nukes. Fancy GG timing? Little bit. Little bit. I asked them to delay game for 3 to 15 minutes. Yeah, no problem, go ahead. I'm gonna go get some water. Back. I'm getting naughty. I'm hungry. And then I have to wait for dinner to cook. Ah. For lunch, I had a disappointing meal as well. The salad I had was really good. But then I went to Aldi. Or I got groceries delivered from Aldi, which I usually don't go to. But they had some like vegan stuff from a brand I didn't recognize. I guess they're a brand. And they had like fake chicken patties. And I tried one today. It wasn't my favorite. I ate half of it and then gave up. Like the Morningstar one's better. Series is all tied up now. In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, we have Clash's Reynor. Top left of Lightshade, we have Liquid Clem. Our old small map. One that was fairly popular for the Roach attack. Can still happen. And Reynor just showed it, so it could happen again. I gotta say, the first 7 minutes of that game was very interesting. Clem's non-reaction to the fake 2-base lair was just like, you know, ultimately a good thing. But then the whole keep the Roach Warren 1/1 attack secret was successful. And then Clem's ability to guess engagements and take opportunities when they shine was better than Reynor's, who also missed out on a couple of corrosive biles, which seemed to put him behind. But then Clem oversteps. I mean, this was a wild game. Every part of that game mattered. Even the fake 2-base lair that Clem didn't even really react to. Drinking some of the sauce off camera? I mean, why would I ever do that? You guys have seen me drink on camera. But no, I just got lemonade and I was stretching. Stretching is good for your health, guys. Have you gotten up from your chair the past hour? Have you? Do it. Get up. Stretch. Chicken patties are tough to recreate. I don't know. I like the Morningstar ones perfectly fine. I think they're quite good, actually. Just like I legitimately think that vegan chicken nuggets and regular chicken nuggets taste the same. Like, you're mashing together a product that is mostly, most of the taste doesn't even come from, like, the chicken, really. It comes from, like, the breaded part. IMO. So, that's why it makes sense to me that these things would not be hard to replicate. It's just that whatever this Aldi brand did, I don't know, maybe it was freezer burned as well. I don't know, maybe that was the odd taste, but... I have no idea how to change my freezer settings. Like, I've had to deal with things that have been freezer burned before, because my freezer is stupidly cold, but I have no idea how to change it. I can change the refrigerator temperature, not the freezer. Anyways. What do you got from Clem? Reynor goes for no trickery this time. Third hatch is on the way. Clem's gonna go for a Hellbat build, the classic. We shall call this one the classic Hellbat build, which is that you continue building Marines and then come over with a medevac. I think it was the original Hellbat build. And then we also had a Banshee Hellbat version, and we have like the Marauder Hellbat version. Clem has like a stupidly fast Hellbat build that only hits with 4 Hellbats. This is the classic. Reynor does not know it's on the way. He's gonna see more Hellions, and then probably not get into the main base. The armory's done. Clem wants to do his push. He doesn't want to deal with these Lings back at home, which is already suspicious for Reynor, I gotta say. Now the medevac has appeared, and that is going to tell Reynor what is what. He actually tries to body block with the Marines. The Queens are off creep. Love it. One Queen gonna go down faster because of that. Second one does manage to skedaddle her way onto that creep. 6 Hellbats marching forward into now 5 Queens. These 6 Queens will do the job, especially since the medevac did get taken down. Lings will die, mining will be delayed, but the Queens will eventually clean this up. That's about what you gotta hope for against a Zerg player at the skill of Reynor. Hellions turn back into their Hellion form. Better to save them instead of suiciding them. And Clem's got follow-up Banshees on the way. So this could be an attempt to do more damage. Fair enough. Maybe the Queens died in the Hellbat push. Now this is a 1-2 punch. Unlikely, because what happened right there is much more likely to happen. Or it could also be because he is a little aware, scared maybe, of a roach play again, since it is Lightshade and it's been popular in the past. 2 Banshees will help him defend against that in a way that the Marine tank of last game could not. Banshees just, you know, free fire on top of the roaches, easy peasy. Thanks, vegan chicken nuggets and regular chicken nuggets say the same. QAnon. I remember talking to you about this, and I feel like you said you actually hadn't had vegan chicken nuggets. So, I mean, you gotta give it a try. And you gotta do the whole thing that you do with, like, regular chicken nuggets as well. That is a lot of Hellions. On top of the 6 that were made as Hellbats, probably made 10 Hellions in total. Anyways, you gotta do all the same things, too. You know? Like, also dip them in a sauce. Banshee sometimes can grab a 4th base. Not this time. Reynor's got Overseers, Queens, Creep Spread connecting all of his bases. He's gonna go into the very classic and cool Ling Bane Ling Yuta. Combat shields on the way for Clem. You know, doing the Hellbat attack, getting the Banshees. Doesn't really set him up for a very quick follow-up into the medevac drops. He does have some now. A little bit of a push, but only 1 tank. Only 5 Hellbats. And that is a very bold push from Clem. My goodness, he was deep on a creep. Jesus. I mean, the tank on top was a really cool idea. But my goodness. Hoping for the, I don't know, fast power. He won't expect me to be this deep on a creep. I probably was more so thinking he would be able to escape in his medevacs, of which he mostly did. Only really his Hellions died. But another surround from Reynor should be able to clean this up well and good. There you go. Medevacs surprisingly go up to the right first, then go back to the safety of the 3 bases. Clem, is he going into 8 racks? He is. 3 command centers, 8 racks, is going to add on a 4th base. One thing that this means is that there's really not a whole lot of splash coming in here, so a second factory has not been built. Considering that Reynor has gone for Ling Baneling Hydra Lurker in the past, I'm not sure that Clem is actually 100% predicting these mutas. Yeah, he doesn't scout the Spire. He does not have missile turrets. So that could be a problem. Once again, deep on a creep here. He's cleaned up some creep tumors, but they take a little while to actually disappear. Continuing to clear things up. Reynor now has a couple of mutas flying across. He's going to find the 4th CC, but actually properly protected. Marines are there. Ooh, a little bit of stutter. Ugh, what the hell is that? I don't know what's causing it, but alright. There we go. The mutas have killed 8 SCVs, so they're going to get a couple of more, and just start distracting Clem. He's got to respond to this with the micro at home as opposed to continuing his push over here. Delaying it by seconds means that Reynor gets more Banelings, really. I was going to say anything else, but more Banelings, let's be real. 6 more mutas are also on the way, and they could try and come back and clean up some of these tanks, or instead run over the Marines. 3 mutas, I believe, died. Clem anticipated their movement. And now Clem is up a 10 army supply with 2-2 finishing. And his 8 racks, well, yes, he has a 4th CC, it's an 8 racks. Seems to be working. He's really opened up a position here with a lack of creep spread. And those Marines... Oh, not gonna be able to clean up all the creep. Big run by here from Reynor. Not a whole lot to defend. Clem was rallying some units. There they are. That's also a lot of banelings. Liberator's gonna siege up. SCV's gonna have to be pulled away. This will be cleaned up. Oh, there's all the units. You lazy bones. But it will be cleaned up. I mean, that could have been a lot worse. If Clem was not at all paying attention, that's the 15 SCVs plus the army. And then maybe his main attack also wasn't being controlled, right? But that was not so bad. Clem still has a very good position on top of Reynor's 4th base. Reynor is expanding elsewhere and is finally going to come in here. Ling, Baneling, and Muta, and the Queen's even getting involved. That is a deep line of tanks, but a lot of them were not too well protected. There's the Bio Army coming in now. 2 Banshees as well. It looks like Clem is even F2'd. And Reynor is mostly out of Banelings. He's remaking a lot of them. He's still got some in reserve. Going to stop Clem from jumping on top of his bases. But he can't really stop Clem from siege hopping those tanks forward. Last Banshee goes down. Tanks are now going to siege up very close to this 3rd base. Reynor, he's down 15 army supply. He's got some wiggle room, though. Like, he could just give up the base. It still wouldn't be amazing for him, but he could give up the base if it meant that he could buy more time, get to a bigger supply, especially if the base at the bottom left is actually going to go mining. And there it is. There's the retreat. I think that is the best call for the position that Reynor is in. Reynor is on Hive. He's getting to an Ultralisk Cavern at this time. It's going to be a while before that's actually effective. Liberator siege up against the Ling Bane. Don't help out against the Mutas. 2 easy pickoffs right there. But speaking of easy pickoffs, Reynor takes care of the 4th and the 5th. And it's going to start moving into even the natural. A lot of creeps are just cleaned up. I mean, Reynor has not had the opportunity to replace it. So these Mutas have quite the job to do. They have to do a lot of damage. You have to really distract, pull some of the more of the army home. They are killing SCVs, and Clem is going to pull back and then decide, wait a second, nope, just kidding. Not going to pull back. The Mutas are still flapping around. Seems like their numbers are still pretty healthy. Gonna go after a more vulnerable 4th base. Master Repair and the missile turret's barely going to be enough. Oh my god, it's barely gonna be enough. Clem is responding with his Marines, of course, while also pushing to the front line. So that's not a lot of units. I gotta say, Reynor should be able to take care of that with the amount of Banelings he has. Clem not really paying attention, I think. Didn't even try to pull back to the tanks. Mute is once again on top of the SCVs, killing a lot of them at this point. And I think Clem is getting a little overeager on the front lines. I think he has already been overeager. The Mutas did a fantastic job of killing SCVs, really distracting Clem, splitting his attention in half, splitting his army in half, and now Reynor is a bit more comfortably on top of these Ultras. They don't have chitinous plating, but they're gonna make these A moves a little bit easier, right? Diverting attention is gonna be a little bit easier for Reynor as he just cleans this up, and Clem's gonna tap out. GG. Reynor with the 2-1. Chat, please. Should we run a prediction bet next game? Yeah, I could do that. I always forget it's a thing. Never get in the habit of it. What else used to talk about this awesome game? No. Where is the prediction stuff? Who wins best of 5? I feel like Troy from the community coming back to see this. Yeah, exactly. Get the pizza boxes and there's just fire everywhere. I could have expected it, I suppose. It's actually been a pretty safe discussion point in the past. But inevitably there's someone who just I don't know how to say it. Wants to be purposefully daft, wants to be purposefully antagonistic. I guess. Like, I'm not interested in convincing anyone to do one thing or another, but the people who wear the t-shirts that are like, for every animal you don't eat, I'll eat too. Like, I think those people are just straight up assholes. And not just because the one person I saw wearing that t-shirt was actually an asshole. That was just coincidental. There's a very loud sound in this game. Is that the bug people were talking about? You hear that? It's like a louder than normal, like, mineral collecting sound. Okay, I'm freaking myself out here. All right, Blackburn. Bottom left, we have Reynor. Bottom right, we have Clem. I have an Apollo. I mean, it's an apartment. My cats can go where they please. I don't restrain them to the cat cam. Just tried commenting a day at Dota matches without it's killing me. Good job on these long streams. Yeah, I can't really do long casting, solo casting anymore. I used to have no problem, never really think about the effect of my voice, unless it was something insane, like a best of 69. But yeah, now that I've gotten older and I use my voice for more things even. Voice acting, just the amount of casting that has to be done. Even a cast like this is like, I wouldn't want to do this back to back to back to back solo. But thank you. I appreciate it. Yay, fake gambling. People love fake gambling. So Reynor able to take the last 2 games, although that second game was really back and forth. Arguably, Clem should have been the one to take it. Anyways. Last game, I think, was actually a really good showing from both players, but just a little bit better from Reynor. The mutas, man. The mutas, that's what makes them so good. That was a great example of why mutas are so good. You know, on one hand, they could have stayed at home and tried picking off tanks and, you know, ultimately been a poor choice. Would have just died along with the rest of the army. Or they could have done what Reynor did, which is make that tough decision and send them across the map and try and do some harassment, potentially lose into Widow Mines, potentially run over Marines, potentially not do enough damage and lose back at home, whatever, right? But it worked out really well. Clem had to spend so much time chasing them down, losing SCVs during the entire process. But he wasn't pushing, he wasn't controlling, he wasn't reinforcing. That's what they can do. For every animal you don't pet, I'm a pet 3. See, that's nice. That's nice. Unless you're the type of person that pets really aggressively. I am still not sure if this is like a Korean thing or just that particular cat cafe. But I went to a cat cafe and like a couple of different Korean ladies were petting the cats by like slapping their hands on like the butt basically, right? like on the back end of the cat near the tail. They just were like slapping the hand on it. And like, the thing is the cat actually seemed to enjoy it, so I don't know what to think, but it looked like not petting. I'll tell you that. It looked like animal abuse done lovingly. I don't know. Some players complain about that sound. Okay, so that is what people are talking about on Reddit. So third CC build from Clem. It did work out. It was working out really well in game too. It just other things happened. And it's gonna be that 3cc 211 again. Did he add Hellions in that in that game? No, he didn't. No, not at all, because there was no scouting. So this time he adds a couple of Hellions, and that could be directly related to how game 2 went, because he didn't get the follow-up scout. His Reaper died, and then he couldn't see the third hatch timing. He couldn't see what units were producing, lings or roaches, right? And these Hellions, just a little bit of scouting. And also a little bit of scouting for like an attack if that were to come over. Clem is going for that thing that could be vulnerable in the early game, is totally fine in the mid game, and we are getting to the mid game. Reynor is going for seemed like an okay timed high layer, but we see that I guess more so now for really good centrifugal hooks timing. And then only a single evolution chamber, so it looks like he's got his sights on the fact that it was a 211 3cc build. Yeah, he saw the you know what, I'm actually not, that might be the factory. He might have just seen the Marines. Anyways, a single evolution chamber for +1 carapace would be a response that happens commonly against the 211, 2 or 3cc version. He actually cancels it. All right. So by canceling it and then not getting a Spire or double evolution chamber, I feel like he's gonna go for a big push, which is, oh no, oh geez. All right, this is actually already a really good start for Reynor. That sucks. Seven games, still games much longer in StarCraft. Yeah, that's true. Well, this cast is gonna be 5.5 hours. So I don't want to do the math on how long their cast was. So, all right, so the Ling run by is already bad. It is going to be cleaned up, but that's time that the 2 racks, the 2 drop doesn't get to do damage. And it was, you know, he did kill 5 SCVs. But what I was going to talk about is that I think Reynor is just going to go for, you know, kind of an all-in here. One of the weaknesses of the 211 in any form is that there isn't a lot of splash. The Hellions aren't there, which are still useful against Ling Baneling. The tank numbers aren't really there as it would be in a couple of minutes. So you're going to push back the drop very quickly and then just actually push back for a counter. And if it doesn't work, if you screw up this way or another, you're not going to have any technology or any upgrades. So it's a big risk what Reynor's doing, but he's trying to see into the future and properly predict how to defend this and kill Clem for doing it. This is actually getting more awkward than I think Reynor wanted, though. He built all of his Banelings on the offensive off to the side, kind of secret hidden tunnel style. But then that means he has no Banelings back at home. Oh, wait, he does. There he does. There we go. Okay, all right, there you go. Yeah, and then the Banelings are so... That was funny. Are so effective on creep that this like pseudo base trade usually doesn't work out for the Zerg, the Terran shit. But this actually isn't so bad. The Marines were so well spread. They had so much time to spread themselves out, and that tank created this weird like AI wall choke situation that Clem takes a lot of SCV damage and then deals the amount of damage to his opponent, and then some. Is going to take on a natural hatchery, go into the main base, kill more drones, get more lings, and Clem He's the one with 1-1. He's the one with the 3rd CC. Clem brings it to tie 2-2. Oh, wow. That's a difference. If those Banelings of Reynor were there faster, I think that's where it's better for Reynor. That was something. That was a game. Why do cats never show first-person camera of either player? You mean like to watch them be fast? Or for other reasons? We do when we want to see that they haven't seen something. But as far as just watching them for the sake of watching them, it's not really good, like, commentary and observing. First of all, it's never as good if you're in the game watching someone else's vision. You don't get to see their clicks, and like the camera doesn't like jump. It just kind of like moves fast. So having an observer on top of a player isn't good player perspective. If tournaments have it, they've made the computer actually run directly into the broadcast, so you can see everything that they're doing. And then if that's the only thing being shown, then it's just an entirely different experience, you know? And some people like that, of course. Some people love watching only one player's perspective. So it's a great thing to have in addition to a regular broadcast, but you are missing out on half the story if you only show one perspective. Game number 5. In the top left, with blue Zerg, we have Reynor. Bottom right, red Terran, Clem. These guys are pretty good at this game. And they're all tied up. It's all down to this one. Who gets like 10 points and like $100? Yeah. Romanicide is the last battlefield. I don't even know what the new map pool is, actually. So they got rid of Death Aura and Submarine. And Pillars, right? Okay. Alright. I figured it out. And a longer broadcast as well. Shit. Totally normal openers. Usually wait for the Terran to dictate things. Reynor set up for an all-in. It didn't work. It was a mid-game all-in. That's pretty rare. And that's sometimes why it works. Because no one expects someone to go into a Link Baneling 3-base attack. But it's been a thing for a long time, actually. I remember dying to it back on, like, Whirlwind. So... if Clem had been all together, reacting to the one attack, it would have been tough for him to hold. I mean, he would have split like a god and had one tank helping out, but he would have been completely surprised. It was a good idea, as I was saying during the cast. But, you know, when you look back on it, that run by actually wasn't as potent as Reynor was hoping. 5 SCVs and like maybe a couple of Marines, but that was it. For what was ended up being a lot of Lings. And then not having any Banelings formed quicker on his side of the map and Reynor's side of the map also really hurt his chances at holding. Because you can size up that engagement almost like you size up when you have tanks and you're sending Marines out, you know? You can say, well, my tanks at home will defend and my Marines out here will attack. That happens at TvT all the time. For Zerg players, to a degree, they can say, I can do an attack here and then have 20 Banelings at home on creep, and that should be fine too. Because speed is not favorable for Terran if they're on creep. So that's why base races are not always won by a Terran. But because the Banelings were late, the way that tank was sieged up was perfect. And Clem had so much time to Marine split like he did. Reynor not only lost a lot of steam on the attack, honestly, the attack itself was maybe kind of questionable if that was actually working. 15, 20 ICVs isn't enough if the guy's still on 3cc. But then he also didn't do well enough on the defense. So I like the idea, but it is one of those games you could be like, I tried an all-in, didn't work, okay, on to the macro game. Clem, with some very good scouting from this Reaper, is going to once again go into a 3cc build. 3cc, 2-1-1. It's worked out for him. I don't know if the Reaper actually saw the lair. Okay, this time it didn't. So Reynor, he must have actually wanted to do 2-base lair in the second game and then had to change his mind. I thought the Reaper was in there long enough that I was uncertain. It looked like he meant to fake him out, but now I'm reconsidering. So, actually wants to do a 2-base muta build. Is going to do it this time around because the Reaper didn't see it. But if Clem, again, by not seeing it, he can't react to it. If he just does his build, it's really not that bad. It's really not. There's the Spire. Baneling is also thrown down. Ooh, Clem gonna add a little bit to this. So it is a 2-1-1 setup, but then you don't swap the reactor onto the starport. This is one of the first attack, different type of attack 2-1-1s that was created. And this is just a 3cc version, so a lot more to fall back on. But the surprise is that if Reynor figured out it was a 2-1-1, he's like, oh, there's no Hellions, or there's only 2 Hellions rather, and there's probably a lot of Marines. Then he might not get any Banelings for a while. He might get the Baneling nest, but he won't shape the Banelings. Of course, if it is a Hellbat, you want Banelings. And it adds not just the Hellbat attack, but, clearly a defense for the Marines. So if the Banelings are all popped on the Hellbats in the first place, then the Marines get to dominate afterwards. And that's considering they even have Banelings. 4 made initially, 8 now, definitely needs it. Marines can tear down the Queens in a way that Hellbats don't usually. Baneling number is not high enough to actually take his engagement, I don't think. Yeah, don't do that. He knows he's gonna be target fired. There you go. Ooh, actually not perfect. Kind of missed the next 2. Reaper's gonna try and save the day. Kind of does, a little bit. 1 medevac to pick up 8 Marines. But that was... Nah, I don't think that's what Clem really wanted. I don't think so. As far as the game going on, I mean, it's fine, but I think he wanted a little bit more from that. 7 mutas are now being made. Typical hooks get started. No 4th base for Reynor yet. And he's only at 54 workers, so that worker count's actually looking quite bad. Reynor, I guess the biggest thing from that was that he got supply blocked. Overlord's only just now making, but as opposed to making 7 mutas and then immediately spamming that drone button, he actually had to wait 15, 20 seconds. So that's pretty good. But now Reynor should be able to really bump up that count. He's going to be the one in control here. He's going to have the mutas dancing around, seeing where the armies are, and should be able to get to a 4th base and drones. It's actually taking quite long. Taking a time. There's the 4th base finally. Mutas are going to find maybe 1 more attack on the natural. Well, the missile turret is done. Reynor's going to get back to that creep spread. 4th base to the south for Reynor. It's a new way to play Zerg, man. Get hit. Need to see the next attack on the way. No tanks, no Widow Mines. Oh, 2 Widow Mines, my bad. 2 Widow Mines. but not the most fearsome of attacks, especially because Centrifugal Looks is finishing. Creep Spread has been remade. And the mutas are buying time anyways. Well, Muta does get popped, but Reynor setting up for the engagement. Gonna break down those rocks once and for all. Clem is going to have a faster upgrade. I mean, that's kind of expected with the way that Reynor opened up. Looks like he was a little late to combat shields. Adds on a second factory, 4th CC on the way, walls aplenty so that Reynor can't do any run-bys. So that's not Reynor's plan, not yet. Clem now has 6 Widow Mines, but not on the front lines. Ooh, it's a little scared. Reynor didn't really split off like I thought he was going to. He is going to halt the push though, and now uses mutas to go across the map and take the engagements. Widow Mine's gonna burrow, and that's gonna be good enough. Drilling Claw's still not started. The factory does not have a tech lab. Bit of a mistake, isn't it? Mutas take the engagement, but then get in the range of that Widow Mine. Ah, lots of mutas going down. 7 in total. Leaving Reynor only at 8 mutas, which is really not that threatening. Middle of the map, engagement seems to be going okay for Reynor, but Clem has so much more army coming through here. Now Raynor's committed, he's off creep. If he tries to retreat now, Clem could stim after and actually catch a couple of the Banelings. Not gonna do so. They're gonna scan ahead and see that those are actually the only Banelings left. There are no Banelings making, which is what a Zerg player wants to have happen every time they do overextend. They want to overextend and go, oh shit, and then run back to 20 more Banelings morphing. And this is going to be good enough for Clem to win, it looks like. Even with the creep spread a little bit on Raynor's side, the concave is too good. The number of bio units is too good. The splits aren't even really necessary. This isn't enough Zerg to actually stop the Terran. I think it would be different if Reynor didn't have his Banelings out off of creep, but even then, it's still going to be a tough game. Clem pushes in at the right moment, takes advantage of it, is going to continue rallying forward here. And Mia's going to try and pick off reinforcements, which is going all right so far. And here come a lot of Banelings. Enough Banelings, potentially, to actually clean this up. Just barely, by the looks of it. Ling's coming forward as well. Muta's still alive, and the Hatchery's still alive, surprisingly. And Clem is not going to win right here, right now, but it's looking good for him. He goes back home, starts up 2-2, finally has Drilling Claws on the way, and gets his Planetary to protect him from further run-bys. Reynor might have survived, but he's not in a good spot. You know, he wanted to push that back more reliably, more in the middle of the map than around his 3rd base. He's about a 5th base by now. There's no 5th in sight, no way to evacuate his drone someplace safe. Clem knows it. He's gonna stick it to Reynor. And I think we're just waiting for a good Widow Mine pop. I mean, the Widow Mines didn't even pop, it's just that the Banelings all were used on the Widow Mines. That means that Reynor is down to 0. Okay, they freshly popped Banelings. Alright. Save the day for another 2 seconds. And Clem is rallying too strong. Too strong for Reynor. A little bit of fireworks. GG. The fireworks to end the game. Clem with the 3-2 takes another open cup. Reynor usually wins when he plays. Kind of expects to win when he plays, but not this time. GG. Yeah, that Sacrificial Marine, I saw that. That was neat.